Hi, welcome to today's video where we will be talking about real-time event data processing using AWS Lambda. Let us consider a use case which involves an IoT sensor which sends the events every minute. Let's assume the IoT device is a thermometer which sends out the temperature data. So we are expected to process the events in real time, perform real-time analysis to find out whether the temperature exceeds the predefined threshold limit. If the temperature exceeds the threshold limit, we will have to send out an alert to the maintenance team in form of email. For every event which comes out of the thermometer, we will have to store it in a database to facilitate further analysis. So let's talk about how solution architecture will look like for this use case in AWS. Let us look at the AWS Lambda centric architecture for the use case we just spoke about. The key components of this architecture are Kinesis data stream, which is serverless data streaming service from Amazon. On top of that, we have Lambda function, DynamoDB, and then the SNS for the real-time notifications. As soon as the real-time event data gets ingested into Kinesis data streams, it makes a call to a Lambda function. Then Lambda function collects those records and apply the processing logic in real time to figure out whether the temperature exceeds the threshold or not. If it exceeds the preset threshold, then it sends the data to SNS to facilitate the email notification. Whether the temperature exceeds the threshold or not, each event will get logged into DynamoDB to facilitate further analysis. Let us move on to the hands-on section where we will implement the entire solution we spoke about. So there are a few prerequisites, and also we will broadly classify, what sort of components we will be creating during demo. The first one is IAM role. The second one, we will be creating the Kinesis data stream. Third one, we will be creating a DynamoDB table to hold the real-time events data. Fourth one, the SNS topic to facilitate the real-time email notification. And the fifth one, two Lambda functions. The first one is a data producer. The second one is the data consumer. I'm on AWS console. Let us navigate to the IAM section to create the role which we need for our demo. Click on roles and then hit create role and select AWS service. And we are going to assign this role to Lambda. So select Lambda and click next. So from the already available roles, let us go ahead and select Lambda basic execution role. Give a role a name and hit create role. So let's go to the newly created role, click on it. So from here we can see we just assign the privileges, right? AWS Lambda basic execution role. So this gives needed privilege to create the CloudWatch log. However, our Lambda function need to talk to few different services. One, it need to send the data to Kinesis data streams. And second, it also need to consume the data from Kinesis data streams. And third, it need to invoke SNS topic to trigger an email. So there are three different services it need to talk to. So let us go ahead and create inline policies for these. And from right side, create add permissions and say create inline policy. First one, let's select SNS. Okay, so we only need SNS publish access. Let's search for it. Click this alone in the right, and I'm going to give it to all resources for the demo purpose. Maybe in real world, we can restrict it to the resources which are really needed. But to make this demo little easier and simpler, let us go ahead and select all and say next and give a policy name. Hit create policy. Okay, this has been created successfully. Second, let's create an inline policy to give access to the DynamoDB table. Create inline policy, and this time it's going to be for DynamoDB. It only needs access to put the item in the table. So search for put item here, put item, select this, and again give it for all the resources and click next and give a name, hit create policy. Third one, let us add inline policy for Kinesis. Select for search for Kinesis. So here we need a bunch of permissions. So let's go ahead and search one by one and select it. List streams. Select this and list charts. Select this. Then we need put, put record and select put records as well. Then look for describe. So here we need describe stream summary and describe stream. Describe stream is here, and then the second one is describe stream summary. That's here. And now go for get record. Select get record. So totally we have select 7 actions. Yeah. Those are the ones needed to put the record into Kinesis data stream as well as fetch it from the streams for our processing purposes. And resources by default all is selected. Let's go with that and hit next. Give a name and hit create policy. Yeah, that's pretty much. So we have created a new IAM role called Lambda Execution Demo role with all the needed permissions. Just to recap, so we have access to the CloudWatch log, and then we have access to the DynamoDB to put the record. We have access to Kinesis to read and write the data. Then we have access to SNS topic to send the message. That's all we need from the IAM role perspective. Let's move on to the next section. Let us go ahead and create the Kinesis data stream. Open Kinesis. From this Get Started widget, click Kinesis Data Streams and hit Create Data Stream. Give a name. From the data stream capacity, there are 2 modes, on-demand and provisioned. So for the purposes of this demo, we are not doing deep dive on Kinesis data stream. So go ahead and select provision. Let the provision shards remain being 1. No need to change anything here. Rest all, let it be as default and hit create data stream. Yeah, data stream has been created successfully. Let's move on to the next section. As a next step, let us go ahead and create a DynamoDB table. Let's open a DynamoDB from the console. Hit create table, give a name, and give partition key as date time. Let the data type be string, and I'm leaving sort key optional not filled. And the table setting, I'll be going with customize settings and go with DynamoDB standard for the table class. And for the capacity mode, let's go with on demand. We're not going to use this table, to read and write high volume data. It's just for the demo purpose, so on demand makes sense. And leave the encryption address unchanged and rest all the properties as default and hit create table. Okay, the DynamoDB table called sensor data has been successfully created. We'll move on to the next step. Let us go ahead and create the SNS topic and subscribe for the email notification. Let's search for SNS, open the SNS console, and under create topic, give a name to the topic. Click next step. Let this topic be of a standard type and display name, give a actual name, whatever we have given before. And almost all other settings, I'm going to leave it default and hit create topic. Topic has been successfully created. So next step, let's go ahead and add an email subscription. Under subscriptions, you go ahead and hit create subscription and leave the topic ARN unchanged. And under protocol, let us select email. And let's go ahead and give the email address where you want to receive the alert email. And then hit create subscription. This step would have sent an email to the ID which you have used for the subscription for the confirmation. So let's go ahead and open the email. Okay, I have received an email. Let's go ahead and open it. And it says you have chosen to subscribe to the topic so and so. And there is a hyperlink to confirm the subscription. I'll go ahead and click confirm subscription. The subscription has been confirmed. So with this, we have successfully created the SNS topic and we have also subscribed to that topic using our email address to receive the alert notification. Let us go ahead and create the Lambda function which creates the event records. Click on Lambda console, hit create function, select author from scratch. Under basic information, give a name, data producer. Under runtime, let's go with Python 3.12. Architecture, I'm not changing. Under permissions, let's go and select the IAM role which we have created. Select use an existing role and look for the role which we created. Lambda execution demo role. And I'm not changing anything under advanced setting. Let's go ahead and hit create function. Okay, the function has been created. Under the script, I'm going to copy and paste the script which I have authored. I'll be sharing the URL of the script later. You need not, pay very close attention and type it now. So I'll quickly explain what the script does. Right in the beginning of the script, we have a bunch of import statements, JSON, Boto3, on random. This is especially to create random temperature values, and then the time and date time to populate the values for daytime call. And under the function event and context, I'm initializing the loop while I less than 5, and I'm taking current time datetime dot now on the month, date, year, hour, minute, second format, and then I'm creating temperature Fahrenheit based on this random function between 80 to 90 Fahrenheit. And then I am formulating the JSON record which contains two different values, daytime and the temperature which we created above. And then I'm calling Kinesis client, which I have initiated here using Boto3, Kinesis client dot put record. Theme name, we have given the Kinesis theme which was created earlier, sensor data stream. And data JSON.dumps, the record which we formulated above. And then I'll increment the loop one by one. And between every loop iteration, I'm just waiting for 5 seconds. And finally, I have added a print message to look at what's really happening. So when you run this function, what happens? It creates four different records, and this function runs for about 22 seconds. Because I'm waiting 5 seconds for each loop, it takes somewhere around 20 to 22 seconds, and it produces four records in a row. That's pretty much. Let's go ahead and deploy this. All right, so let's move it and create another Lambda function which is going to be a data consumer. Go to functions and again hit create function and say author from scratch, and function name going to be data underscore consumer. And runtime, select Python 3.12, architecture default, and permission. Let's go ahead and select the role which we created, Lambda execution demo role. And advanced settings, I'm not changing any. Let's go ahead and hit create function. Okay, under the script, I'm copy pasting the one which I already created. I'll go ahead and quickly explain. Here we have a bunch of imports, JSON, Bodo3, and base64. And then I'm initializing two different clients. One is DynamoDB resource using Bodo3.resource. And the other one is SNS client, right? DynamoDB is to write the data to DynamoDB table, and SNS client is to send the event to SNS to trigger the email. So under the main function, so we have event and context. Then we are using data from event and to process it, to store it in DynamoDB as well as to send it SNS. So if you look at payload, we are doing base64 decode of record from Kinesis data. So if you look at the format of the record, you'll clearly understand why we are taking you know this specific arm of the data. Uh, from here, what we are doing is JSON.load of payload, right? To convert this into the JSON format. Right after that, we are making a call to write to database. There is another function which basically gets the JSON data. So here we are initializing the table, and then table dot put right, and whatever data it gets from the main function. So that is the functionality of this write to DB. Um, The next function which we have created is to publish the messages to SNS. So it basically calls SNS client dot publish, and then we have given the ARN of the SNS topic which we have created earlier, and it passes the message. So in the main function, we have a check, right, to see whether the temperature is greater than 88 Fahrenheit. If it is greater than 88, then it makes a call to publish to SNS, and then it passes set of parameters and the respective values. That's pretty much about this function. Now we will have to create trigger, right? As and when you know the data stream, right? Kinesis data streams get a data. This function has to be called. So for that, let's go ahead and hit add trigger, and our source going to be Kinesis. Search for Kinesis and select the stream which we have created earlier, sensor data stream, and I'm leaving rest active trigger check, and batch size, the number of records in each batch to send to the function. So if you remember in our data producer Lambda function, we are creating 4 records when we run the function at one time, right? So let's go ahead and give that is the batch size, 4 records, and starting position latest, and batch window we are leaving it optional for now. Otherwise, if you want to wait for, let's say, 5 seconds and collect all the data which got ingested within those 5 seconds and process it together, we can, you know, make use of this batch window. But for demo purpose, I'm leaving it optional. And most of these things are default. I'm not changing any. Let's go ahead and hit back. Okay. A trigger has been successfully created. So let's go ahead and click deploy. Go to code section again and click deploy. This function has been successfully triggered. Sorry, this function has been successfully deployed. Now we can go ahead and test it. Before we test it, let's take a look at the DynamoDB table to see there are any values in it. Let's navigate to DynamoDB. Navigate to tables, and here we have our table. Select this. We click on explore items, and items return 0. Now let's go back to the Lambda function, the data producer Lambda function. Let's open it. I think we'll have to make a small correction there. By default, the timeout is set to 3 seconds. Whereas we know we are generating 4 records in 5 seconds interval each. So it's going to run for about 22 seconds. So let's modify this timeout to 45 seconds to be on safer side. Okay, let's go ahead and trigger this function. Sorry, go to code, click on test and configure test event and give a name test underscore event and just click save. We don't really need to pass anything in the event. It doesn't make use of any event data, but the data producer function itself. So just save this. Okay, now hit test. Okay, it says execution started and then it's in progress. So let's wait for about 20 seconds. Okay, so it had created these 4 records and sent it to the Kinesis streams. Now let's go ahead and see whether we have those records available in the DynamoDB. Okay, click on explore items, select sensor data, select table name, that's going to be sensor data, And let's say we need all attributes and say run. Yeah, here we have 4 records created. Unfortunately, none of these records are value greater than 88. So email would have not been triggered. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and run the data producer once again. Yeah, here we go. So we have received a notification from the SNS stating temperature at this specific date and time exceeded with 88 degrees Fahrenheit. And then actual temperature was something like 89 degrees Fahrenheit. So yeah, the SNS topic is picking up messages from Lambda and it is delivering it into the email which we subscribe with. I hope this demo have given you a fair understanding of how we can connect Lambda with Kinesis streams, DynamoDB, as well as with SNS to process the real-time data events and do some quick analysis of the data and then take actions in real time. Hope this was useful. I will connect with you in another interesting session. Thank you, everyone.